Hey guys, welcome back to Creativity and Inspiration. If you're new, I'm Lisa. Thank you for being here. You are so appreciated. Today we are talking more different ideas for art journals, junk journals, sketchbooks, whatever you do. I've got some new ideas for you. And I'm excited. So let's just jump in. Okay, guys. So today we're talking pages and interesting, different, not using ink, not using fabric or paper, but using colored pencils, whatever you have. And this is what inspired this video. This is some art I was creating. And instead of doing the flowers in the pot in ink and making a non-real looking flower pot, I stitched it. And that is all stitching. The black is all stitching. And it was so fun. I didn't try to be perfect. I just got the generic shape down and then just went crazy around and over. And it made such a cool image. Then to add the color, I used watercolor crayons, which are like crayons. You just color whatever you want to color, and then you use water and you get these beautiful vibrant colors, and there they are, just like grown-up colors. And it's so fun that it kind of got me thinking about different ways to decorate pages. Again, stitching, different shapes, using shape, sizes, color to create something that maybe we wouldn't create for a page. Now, can you write on this? Sure, you could write in the flowers, you could write on the vase, but these are art. These are going to be framed. But yes, if you did something similar on a page, you could write on it, or that could just be one of your blank pages in your journal because you have those now. Then this is one that I'm still working on. It's unfinished, but it's like the top of a tree line, and it's going to be cherry blossom trees when it's done. Here are the trunks. Not perfect. They don't have to be. Do they look like trees? Probably not to everybody, but it doesn't matter because once I get all the trunks sewn on, I'm going to come in with paint and create my cherry blossom trees. So that was the inspiration for today, to use shapes, color to create unique pages. Okay, so here's the pages we're working on. And on this side, you can see I have decoupaged another of my bird napkins, but not this side, not the part of the napkin with the bright ink. This is right under it where the ink has rubbed off on it and created like a very faint image. So I'm saying use pattern, use shapes, use colors to create pages, whether you write on them or they're just for decor in your journal. If this is an art journal, this is art. This qualifies, guys. This could be a page. And if it's a sketchbook, same thing. I think there really is no difference between an art journal and a sketchbook. Not really. Except maybe you make one and you don't make the other, but you can make a sketchbook into an art journal, because isn't that what a sketchbook is? I don't know. Anyway, so with this one, because I've put the napkin down, what I want to do is give the illusion of looking out a window. And how do you do that? Well, you put the grid in, the old-fashioned window grid that almost looks like a tic-tac-toe setting, right? That's what we are going to put in on this page. So I'm going to go over to my sewing machine and just have fun sewing in a window grid. Okay, guys, I'm over at my sewing machine and I'm going to sew a window grid, or my idea of what a window grid is. Now, I'm not going to sew a straight line. I'm going to sew crooked, but you could sew straight if you want. Because it's not meant to be perfect. It's just meant to give the illusion of the center of a window. And I'm going to sew over the same line differently 2 or 3 times. Alright, and there is the window grid right here. Now you could sew in some curtains. You could put in some with collage material, whatever you want to do. You could paint them in. You know, it's however you see your window. But I want to kind of add them in with my sewing. So what I would do is I'm going to come up here and I'm going to kind of make a swoop down here. And I'm going to do it again. Again, the more lines you sew in, the messier it gets, but it looks so good. And I'm going to come over to the other side and sew in my other half of my curtain. Now I'm putting the curtain in on this side, same way as I did over here. And, yep. So there is our window with our curtains. Now we're going to go over and make it a little more clear and cut off all of our strings. All right, as you can see, the back is very messy. But that's okay, because we're going to cover that. Remember the trick I showed you last week? You just put paper on there, and then you can write on it. You can, you know, whatever you want to do. I'm just going to cut all these strings off, and then we'll make it even more clear. Does it have to be a clear picture? No, it doesn't. It can be, remember, whatever you want it to be, because it's yours. All right, let me get this last little bit off. All right, now, all right, because it did rip, all I'm going to do, because you're not going to see the back anyway, is come in with a little tape just to hold it all together. So I'm going to pull the part up that got a little caught. And then I'm going to tape it all down. Because you won't see, remember the back you won't see, you'll only see the front. Then if you wanted to come in with a pen or some of your crayon, watercolors, whatever, and put some lines on your curtains, you can. You could even bring your curtains down more. There you go. And then you get the idea. We used shape and pattern to create a page. You can still write on this, or you could leave it decorative. You could add watercolor, whatever you wanted to do. This is using a grid, and then a familiar shape, just using lines like a curtain. And we use the napkin, so it would give the feel of outside. Now on this side, we're going to use size and shape again, but in a different way. So I'm going to go get some colored pencils, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I just have my Faber-Castell colored pencils, and we're just going to create a cool page that you can write over. You could put pictures, you could decorate with journal cards, whatever you want. But we're going to use different sizes and shapes. And I'm going to go with circles. You could go with squares, diamonds, whatever you wanted to. And I'm going to go with medium, big, small. But I'm also going to go with like a circle that's kind of bent over. And you color them in. You could do this with your watercolors, color them in, then activate them with the water, and they would be very pretty. You could do this with watercolor pencils as well. Same thing, activate it with the water. It would be gorgeous color, great pigment. These are just plain old colored pencils though. But you color in your shapes, you make them all different sizes. I kind of wanted it to go like that. You can color dark, you can color light, however you see your page, but you're creating interest on your page using shapes. And you just keep going till you have as many on, as many on the page as you want. Whether you want a whole bunch and you can't hardly have any free space, or you just want a few. You use sizes and shapes. Now, here's the fun thing with using sizes and shapes. You can write around them, over them, or act like you're going behind them, that they're a solid. So you could do like ode to circles. And it'd be like there was once a circle, big and round. See, we are going behind, and over to give the illusion that the circles are different distances. These are closer because we went behind them. These are farther away, we went over them. It just creates unique images, and you could do this with a paper collage as well. It doesn't have to be color, colored pencils. It could be paper. It could be sewn circles where you just sew in a circle. Okay, our last page idea for you today. Okay, so we have our tree here. I'm going to color our tree in real quick. And I'm getting some cool pattern on the tree trunk because it's picking it up from my sewing on the opposite page. Which I think is cool because, tree trunks are patterned. They're, bark is bark. It's not smooth on most trees. There are some smooth tree bark, but on most trees. Anyway, you put this on like that. Okay, there's your tree. Then you can use pattern again. Let's say I want to do a grid of maybe diamonds or squares or something like that. So I'm going to make the grid. I'm going to do it kind of large because, we don't have a lot of time. Now see, I did that all on top of my tree. I could have done some of the lines behind the tree the same way we did with our words. That's always an option. But then what I could do is come in and color in. And I'm going to do the top quarter different blues, bottom quarter different greens. Okay guys, so that's how you can use shapes, size, color to create pages that are different. And use your words, the writing, to create an illusion around the shapes. You could do the same thing. Let me get another page. Okay. Let me draw something on here real quick. Okay, got our flower. And I'm doing the flower all one color just to show you another way you can do the lines around your flower. So hang on. Then again, when you draw your lines to create interest and pattern on your page, remember you don't always have to go just over. This time I'm going to go behind. And then you could do a mixture. You could do over and behind. So we've done behind, now let's do over. And then we'll go back. Okay, now this one, it's, oh, excuse me, my ruler had ink on it. That stinks. But anyway, you get the idea. Some of the lines go behind the image, and some of the lines go over the image. So when you color this in, you're going to get a different look. And the ones that go over, you could actually cover over the color over your image if you wanted to. And then this one's under, so you're gonna, this one's under, so you're gonna color under it. And you would fill that whole thing in as well. So that's another way to use pattern and shape, size to create cool pages that, again, then once they're done, like this one, you can write over it. You could write in each of the little shapes. You could put your journal cards on there. Let's see, do I have a journal card handy? I have a matchbook. I could put my matchbook in the center there. You might want a little more contrast than I have right there, but that's okay. Then you could come in with a journaling card, you know, or a pocket or something. It could not blend and stand out like a book page, or it could blend in perfectly and create harmony. Or, like I said, you could just write over this. And then write in all the spaces around the tree if you want to. There's 1,001 options for every pattern I've shown you. It's totally how you want to take the idea and make it your own. Okay guys, before we go to, I just want to give you some ideas because with it going into spring, look in vintage magazines, vintage books, and you could find a whole lot of inspiration for journaling, for writing, for drawing, coloring, whatever, for colors. And these are some vintage magazine pages I got at the antique mall where I work. And I mean, they were $1, and there's 2 in here. But you could see, look at that. That's gorgeous composition for a sketchbook, for an art journal, for a junk journal. You could cut these images out and use them. These are vintage book pages. Look at this. That's inspirational, you know. So be ready to embrace and use old magazines, old books to get ideas to put in your journals. You know, you can cut around these. But say you're wanting to do the sewing idea, but you don't really feel comfortable freehanding it. A great way for you to do it is to get a photograph, preferably black and white. This one has actually been printed on cardstock, and you can see the outline of the original photo. What I am going to do is cut this down, change the thread in my machine to a purple, because to me that looks like grapes. Maybe it's not, but it's artist interpretation. And then I'm going to kind of stitch around this. And that's another option for you if you don't feel comfortable just doing it off your imagination. Use old black and white photographs, or use book pages and do the same thing. So let me cut this out. And all I'm doing is cutting around the line of where I can see the original photograph was. And the good thing about what this is on is it's printed on a very stiff cardstock. Then you could put this in your page as a page, you know, just add a border to it. Well, we could even, okay. Why did I not cut off this side? Well, that's where it's going to attach in my journal, okay? So you can kind of bend it, and then that's where it's going to go connect to your other pages so you can sew it in. So this will be a page by itself. So let me go change the color thread in my machine, and we will do some stitching around all these great grapes. Because again, this is a great way to use old photographs and to learn to get the feel to do the stitching. Okay guys, so I got the purple in. Took me a minute to find it, honestly. Now I'm just going to kind of start stitching around. I'm going to slow the stitches way down and just kind of stitch around. It's not going to be perfect. I'm not stitching around each little grape. I'm just kind of going to go around. And there you can see where I began my stitching. But that's only the beginning. I would keep going. I would want it stitch heavy. I might come in with a lighter color and make it pop even more. I might come in with some green at the top. And then once I get as much stitching as I decide I want, I'll come in with my watercolor crayons and color in everywhere where I've stitched. And it'll just really pop. So let's keep adding some stitching in here real quick. And don't be afraid just to go crazy and make circles and all of that, because there is no right or wrong. It's whatever your vision for it is. Now I'm going to take you back over to the table, and we're going to get our watercolor crayon, and we're going to color where I've stitched in, just so you can see how it'll look. Okay guys, so we're here. There's the stitching again. I'm getting threads that are just kind of poking out really big on the top. Doesn't matter really on the back right now, but there we go. And then I'm going to come in with my purple watercolor crayon. So I've got my purple right here, and I'm just gonna color. I'm not gonna worry about the lines or anything. I'm just gonna kind of color in circles wherever I've done some stitching around. And remember, there is no right or wrong answer for this. It's how you see it in your head. But using old photographs or magazine pages, book pages, if you aren't comfortable doing just free play on your machine, is a great idea. It's another great use for these items that we use all the time. Okay, now I've got my water here and I've got my brush, and I'm just going to come in and kind of hit it with some water, and it gets so deep, so beautiful. Okay, and then if you go over it and you're like, oh, well, this one, I want a little more color here. It's already wet, so you go in with your watercolor crayon. It's gonna be already that beautiful, intense purple, because the base, the ground, the paper you're coloring in is already wet. And then I'm gonna just come in a little bit more and just hit it with a little bit water to get the richness of the watercolor activated. And that's how simple it is. And that's using stitching and watercolor to create interest and shapes and art. And like I said, if you're not comfortable at first, use old photographs, use old magazine or book pages. And if you're working on one thing, but it inspires you, like this art that's going to be framed inspired pages for a journal. So don't be afraid to carry your inspiration across everything, because everything will benefit. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please be sure and give it a thumbs up. Also, don't forget, if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button with that little bell. It would really help me out. And don't forget, put the videos on in the background. Somebody that watches my videos all the time commented that she had it on in the background, and she really enjoyed seeing the older videos. There are a lot of DIYs and other types of crafts besides paper crafting. So if you want to see those, just head over to the YouTube channel and click through and put them on, like I said, on the TV, on your computer in the background. We're going to start doing some DIYs in the next video, so I will see you for that. Take care. Have an awesome weekend. Bye-bye, guys.